Live, this is 24-hour News 8.
It was just like boom, 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 boom. And then they yelled, "Officer down," put him in the ambulance, and they took off.
We start 24-hour News 8 at 6 with breaking news tonight. A gunfight in Wyoming. An officer shot, a suspect taken into custody.
This all happened in the area of Heim Street and Jefferson Avenue in Wyoming about 3:45 today. We have just received some viewer video where you can hear a few of the gunshots. Listen in.
Witnesses have told our crews they heard several gunshots.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Sterling.
And I'm Susan Shaw. We've been bringing you live continuous coverage since this all happened late this afternoon. Here's the latest on those involved now. The officer is in the hospital. We're told that he is listed in stable condition. The suspect is also in the hospital. He is in serious condition. One other person has minor injuries from this incident.
We do have crews spread out all over tonight, getting you all of the angles on this still developing story. Joe LaFurgey's at the hospital where that police officer was taken today. Casey Jones is talking with witnesses.
But we start with Heather Walker, who has been in close contact with investigators. Heather, what's the latest?
Well, very scary moments today, Sue. We were coming here off of a tip that an officer was involved in a shooting. We heard "officer down" over the scanner. At the same time, we're seeing crews from all over flying by us. I want to get out of the way and give you a look at the scene right now. Much quieter than it was a few hours ago. We just got briefed from Wyoming Police Chief Carmody. He says this all has started around 3:30 in the 200 block of Himes. It was a domestic call, actually, that started this all. They knew that there were weapons in the home. They got the female out of the home. It was a male and female that were fighting. They got the female out of the home. Then the male came out with multiple weapons and opened fire. An officer was hit. They then returned fire, but the suspect ran off throughout the neighborhood. We also learned from the chief just a few minutes ago that a neighbor was also hit during that as the suspect was firing shots while running through this neighborhood. Now, he did end up coming back to the scene and opening fire once again on officers. Two officers returned fire and put down the suspect. The chief says that this is so unusual. He talked about that in his press conference about how officer-involved shootings really don't happen here in Wyoming.
I've been here 8 years. The first time that I've had that occur here, myself, this is the second officer-involved shooting that I've had where one of my officers was shot. So this is the first time in 8 years. Kim, I don't.
Now, the good news, of course, tonight is that that officer is in stable condition. Unfortunately, he was hit just near his belt line, so it was just below his vest that would have protected him from getting that bullet. Also, the condition of the suspect tonight is the last we heard was serious. The only information we are getting about that suspect is that he is a white male in his 30s. Live out of the scene here, Wyoming, Heather Walker, 24-hour News 8.
Heather, thank you. We do want to get right over to Casey Jones, who has been talking with witnesses.
Casey, you also have video of a police cruiser that was shot.
Yeah, Sue, Brian, as Heather was talking about, much quieter scene, but there were a number of witnesses standing right on this corner here at Himes and Jefferson, the heart of where all of this took place, just a few houses down from us. And those witnesses really telling us some firsthand accounts. They pointed out to us just down the street here at the corner of Abbey and Jefferson, there is one police cruiser out of a number of police cruisers with their lights on whose lights are not on. They tell me that that police cruiser is where the police officers were hiding behind as shots were being fired between them and the suspect. They tell me that the back windshield of that police cruiser was also blown out during that gunfight. Now, those same witnesses told me that they saw the police officer, they heard a loud bang, and they saw the police officer come from behind a fence and fall to his knees in front of a gold Trailblazer right here on Heim Street. That was before he got inside a police cruiser, was taken then to an ambulance and taken off the scene. Just one of many witnesses' accounts from a scary day here on Himes and Jefferson.
And then all of a sudden there were just cop cars everywhere. And then right in front of my house, I live just 5 houses down there, there was a fire truck, and he was just sitting there, and all of a sudden he went down and blocked the road, and then the ambulances came from both sides. And then I heard tons of shots. I mean, it was just like boom, 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 boom. And then they yelled, "Officer down," put him in the ambulance, and they took off.
Now, those witnesses telling us that all that action happened just 4 houses down right here in front of a red car in one of these driveways, but they said they really don't know who lives in that house. We're, of course, trying to find out more information on the suspect. Live in Grand Rapids, Casey Jones, 24-hour News 8.
Okay, chaotic events there today. Casey, thank you. Let's go live right now to Mercy Health St. Mary's Hospital in Grand Rapids, where the officer was taken.
24 hours, it's Joe LaFurgey is there live today. Joe?
Yeah, Brian, Sue, again, that officer, as Heather said, he is here in the hospital in stable condition. Again, those wounds not life-threatening. That was the good news here. We do not know what hospital the suspect was taken to or what condition that suspect is in. Interesting scene here. Right after we arrived just sometime after Wyoming Public Safety Chief James Carmody arrived. He was seen pacing just outside the doors here of the emergency room, cell phone in hand, obviously communicating with his command staff back and forth and checking on that officer's condition. We also saw several GRPD command staff come down here as well, including Chief David Rahinsky. They were all here. Nobody was saying anything, and it was interesting. You see the officers pacing around, and unfortunately I've covered enough of these through the years to know, kind of read into their faces, and it's the same story every time. Very worried group of folks standing around the officers and worried about this officer. Then you see a bit of a mood change, and that's what happened here this afternoon right before we found out that this officer was going to be okay. The kind of look on their faces and kind of the tension seemed, with nobody saying anything, seemed to raise a little bit, so you knew that maybe there was some good news. Obviously this wasn't as bad as that it could have been. So that is the news here from the hospital. We'll continue to update you on the officer's condition throughout the evening. Back to you.
Okay, Joe LaFurgey reporting live, part of our team covering this story. Our coverage will continue both in this broadcast and on later editions of your 24-hour News 8. Again, just a quick recap. An officer in Wyoming was injured today, will be okay, hit by a bullet just below his waist. He is in the hospital. The suspect was also shot, a white male described to be in his mid-30s. His injuries not known, said to be in serious condition. Again, look for updates both on air and online.
Our other big story tonight, the brother of Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley has turned himself into police after allegedly dragging and running over a woman in a gas station parking lot in Ionia County. John Calley is being questioned by Ionia County detectives. And 24-hour News 8's Ken Kolker is outside the Sheriff's Department right now with the latest on this case. Ken?
There's still a lot of questions about this case, including why the woman who was run over still refuses to cooperate with police. Now, deputies say this all happened about 5 last night at the Pilot gas station on South State Road. Images show the woman trying to get back into an SUV in the parking lot. Deputies say she was dragged and then run over as that vehicle left. Now, she suffered non-life-threatening injuries, but she also refused to cooperate with police, and that's what led deputies to ask the public for help in identifying the driver. Now, we got tips today that the driver was the Lieutenant Governor's 25-year-old brother, John Calley, and so did the Sheriff's Department. They say that he turned himself in today, and that he turned himself in today, and also said that he had no idea he had dragged or hit that woman. Now, we don't know what, if any, relationship Calley has with that woman. We checked with state police and found Calley has no criminal record. We tried reaching him at his home, but nobody answered. Now, what's not clear now is whether this will lead to any charges at all. Now, our political reporter Rick Albin spoke with the Lieutenant Governor just a short time ago, and the Lieutenant Governor had no comment. Live in Ionia, Ken Kolker, 24-hour News 8.
A man serving 25 years in federal prison for the heroin death of a Granville woman says his prison sentence should be shortened. Kevin Obie was convicted in 2004 of supplying the drug that caused the death of 21-year-old Nora Laris of Granville. 24-hour News 8 Steve Kelso has more on Obie's argument and reaction from Nora's mom. Steve?
And good evening, Brian. At the heart of Kevin Obie's argument is a recent Supreme Court ruling that says if another drug is found in the body of someone, then the person who supplied one drug can't be held liable or responsible for that death. In the meantime, Nora Laris' mother says that Kevin Obie should remain in prison.
He's where he should be. He should be in prison for the rest of his life.
Gina Laris' daughter Nora was just 21 years old when she died. Her 3-year-old son is now 14.
You never get over it. You never, and the way she died was terrible.
Nora Lares died of a heroin overdose. Kevin Obie was there. In fact, he supplied the drug. When she passed out, Obie and a friend put her in a car and drove her to an area on 44th. They said they thought it was a medical center. It was closed. It was only then they called 911, but it was too late for Nora Lares.
I'm angry that he has the power to appeal again.
Now Obie says that since Lares had been drinking that night, the heroin he gave her is not the only cause of death. A response filed by the U.S. Attorney's Office says that the drug alone was sufficient to kill Nora Lares, and that Obie's request should be denied.
There's a lot of papers in here.
Gina Lares has saved court files, obituaries, photos, everything in a box for 10 long years.
This is the car they found her body in.
She hardly ever opens it.
I can't. It's terrible.
Putting the lid on it never makes it go away, but she vows she will do whatever she can to make sure Kevin Obie won't go free early.
He should serve his sentence and keep his mouth closed and go away.
The decision on whether to hear Obie's claim is up to a federal judge. Live in studio control, Steve Kelso, 24-Hour News 8.
Steve, thank you. Slick runways led to slide-offs today at the Gerald R. Ford International Airport. An American Eagle plane landed at about 9:15 this morning on a runway and then slid off the taxiway. A FedEx plane also slid off the taxiway just a few hours before that one. No one was hurt in either incident. The runways and roads are a little easier to maneuver tonight. Chief Meteorologist Bill Steffen is in the tracking center right now with what's ahead. Bill.
Well, Sue, the big story is temperatures go below freezing tonight, and that being the case, we certainly have the chance for picking up some rather icy spots on the roads once again. You can see light snow falling across here. There may be a couple of raindrops mixed in, but mainly light snow, and that will persist here through this evening. Temperature still 32 here in Grand Rapids, but you can see the colder air starting to come in. Ludington is down 3 degrees in the past hour, and there's much colder air up toward the UP heading in our direction. Winds brisk, 20 miles an hour here in Grand Rapids, kicking the wind chill down in the teens. Here's what we expect this evening. Temperatures start out low 30s. We'll be down to 28 here by around 11 o'clock, 26 by 2 a.m. Flurries will continue, and again, beware of the fact there could be some icy spots out there overnight tonight.
Sounds good, Bill. Thank you. Coming up next, what a new poll says about how you'd vote on the May Rhodes proposal and what a top lawmaker is saying about it.
Again, we continue to keep you updated on that breaking news situation in Wyoming. An officer was shot this afternoon. He's in stable condition and should be okay. The suspect is also hospitalized. We'll be taking you back live to the scene in about 10 minutes.
The Michigan legislature finished up their lame duck session without coming to a final decision on how to pay to fix the state's crumbling roads.
Now, you'll be asked to vote to raise taxes in May, and that means a full-fledged campaign is about to get underway. And 24-Hour News 8's Rick Albin here with more on how they're going to try to sell this.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this downstairs yesterday, and this is not a done deal, to be sure. A tax shift on gasoline, money to backfill for local governments and schools, all part of the plan. But the part that you have to approve is raising a sales tax on everything from 6 to 7 cents per dollar. At first glance, the numbers look pretty favorable for the governor and others who want to pass the proposal. At first blush, it's 46% say they would vote for the proposal, 41% against. But after further explanation, only about 38% say they would vote for it. 47% say no. Now, those numbers are in a vacuum for the most part, since no campaign has started, but it will. Lieutenant Governor Brian Cowlick sat down with us just moments ago, and we talked about that.
This is our best shot at fixing our roads and our bridges. It's a public safety issue. It's also a cost issue when it comes to their vehicle repairs in Michigan being about $130 more per year than our neighbors to the south in Indiana. These are the sorts of things, the frustrations that people have and experience on a day-to-day basis driving on Michigan roadways. And then unfortunately there is a cost in terms of safety, public safety, lives and injuries and property damage because of bad roads.
Now, the vote is in May. It's been estimated it could cost $20 million to mount a successful campaign. Here's a big unknown, though. Will those groups who oppose or might be opposed mount a counter campaign that could make passage more difficult and more expensive? That's something we'll be watching.
Getting an indication how they'll sell it, too. Thank you, Rick. We'll stick around. Chief Media forecast.
And we're keeping tabs on that breaking news situation in Wyoming where an officer was shot but is listed in stable condition. We'll take you back to the scene in just minutes.
Always tracking, always alerting. This is Storm Team 8.
Well, you'll have to worry about some icy spots on the roads a little bit later on tonight. Right now, traffic moving along pretty good on 131 on our GVSU camera. But again, as temperatures drop tonight, we'll be well below freezing. In fact, all the way down in the teens here. And so watch out, especially sidewalks, driveways, parking lots, some of those rural roads that don't get as much traffic. Light snow out there. There may be a couple of raindrops or a little drizzle mixed in with that, and that will persist here during the evening hours and then fade away in most areas late tonight. If you're heading out this evening, temperature drops to 28 by around 11 o'clock. Northwest winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour will make it feel a little bit colder than that. We're still at 32, but there is colder air once you get to northern lower Michigan, and that's going to be sliding on down. Watch these temperatures to fall a little bit more quickly after midnight tonight. Pretty strong wind out there, 20 miles an hour. Grand Rapids, we're at 17 in Kalamazoo. Those winds should hold up overnight tonight, and that will keep the wind chills down. Wind chill 20 now. That wind chill could be down into the single figures come early tomorrow morning. So again, icy spots on the main roads to watch out for tonight. It'll be colder tomorrow, only low 20s during the afternoon with a few flurries mainly near the lake. Chance of light snow Saturday. Best bet for that would be northwest of Grand Rapids. And on Sunday, the best chance for snow is along and south of I-94. Most of the snow Sunday will be down in Indiana and Ohio. So a lot of clouds out there, a little bit of snow. I think late tonight we start to open up some breaks in the cloud cover, and I think we start tomorrow with skies that may become partly sunny. So all in all, not a bad day here for you tomorrow at 23 degrees. Saturday, some snow showers, especially north of Muskegon, where there will be at least some light accumulations, high up to 33. And it gets pretty cold here. Temperatures in the teens, Super Bowl Sunday and on Monday, with temperatures staying pretty cold much of the rest of next week. We will be seeing some snow, especially on Tuesday of next week, accumulating snow a possibility then. More news and sports for you straight ahead. Stay tuned.
We continue to follow breaking news. A Wyoming police officer shot while investigating a domestic dispute. Both the officer and the suspect are in the hospital.
24-hour News 8's Heather Walker is live in Wyoming where this happened. Heather?
Yeah, Chief Carmody says this all started as a domestic violence call and ended with 3 people shot, including 1 officer. I'm going to step out of the way. You can see this area is a mostly residential area. And neighbors say it was quiet. Now, this all started around 3:30 when they got a call to the 200 block of Himes for a domestic call, male and a female fighting. They got the female out of the house. When the male came out, he was armed with weapons. He then opened fire on officers. He hit one, and then officers returned fire, but it didn't end there. The man then ran through the neighborhood, according to police, and fired off shots, hitting a neighbor during that. Now, then he ended up coming back, opening fire on officers again. 2 officers returned fire and put the suspect down. Now, the chief talked about how, the gear here today actually helped save lives. Here's what he had to say during the press conference.
What we live with. We had an armored vehicle here that helped us. And there's a lot of people that are complaining about the militarization of police officers, and this is where it comes into play. So if they want to come out and complain, have at it. But those vehicles, that equipment saved my officer today. So they're worth their weight in gold as far as I'm concerned.
This event obviously affecting Chief Carmody very much so. We are going to continue our coverage on this. Please stay with us. We'll have more updates tonight at 10 and 11. Live in Wyoming, Heather Walker, 24-hour News 8.
Okay, Heather Walker reporting live from that scene. Thank you, Heather. Make sure and stay with us. Sports is coming up next.
Three days until kickoff for Super Bowl 49, and you'll have to excuse the Patriots if they look a little sleep deprived. Last night was the second straight night the fire alarm went off in the middle of the night at the team hotel. One storyline that has some Seahawks fans losing sleep surrounds All-Pro safety Richard Sherman. His girlfriend is expecting, and that has some wondering what he'll do if she goes into labor this weekend.
I'm focused on the game right now. He's not supposed to come on Sunday. obviously that changed some things. But I think he's going to be a disciplined young man and staying there till after the game. He's gonna do his father his first favor and staying there for another week or two.
Notice he didn't really answer that question. Sherman did say he doesn't want to miss the birth of his first child, but he'll cross that bridge if he comes to it. NBC is your Super Bowl network. Kickoff 6:30 Sunday. Patriots, Seahawks. Seattle bidding to become the first team to repeat since the Patriots in 2005. College basketball, Michigan State and Rutgers tipped off just after 6 o'clock. Think Sparty could take that guy, that Scarlet Knight? Spartans strike first in this game. Off the steal, Brandon Dawson soars into the bucket, lays that in, 2-point lead. Then in the half court, Travis Trice kick out to Bryn Forbes, nails that three. Michigan State has the lead in the first half. Right now it is 20-14 Spartans. On the ice, first place is on the line in the Atlantic Division tonight when the Red Wings take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Luke Glendening is going to stay with that third line with Riley Shane and Stephen Weiss. Why not? It is his first multi-goal game in his NHL career on that line on Tuesday. To the links we go where Tiger Woods is making his return to the PGA Tour. That tells you how it's going right there. Tiger really struggling at the short game, off the tee, and with his irons. Yeah, he almost broke his club there. Another chip he left short here. Tiger at 3 over par right now through 15 holes.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
That's our program. Thank you for joining us.